Heartwarming revelation, Black CEO who was left waiting transformed her company in just 5 minutes. Aaliyah sat in the gleaming glass-walled boardroom, her heart pounding with a mix of hope and anxiety. The portraits of former executives loomed over her, their rigid expressions glaring like icy judgment. They didn't look like her. They didn't understand her. Yet, here she was, armed with a vision that could reshape their faltering tech company. She was the newly appointed CEO, a title that felt like a badge of honor, yet the weight of expectation was heavy on her shoulders. As the minutes ticked by, her excitement turned to disappointment. She was left waiting, an unwelcome reminder of the waiting rooms of her past, where opportunity felt just out of reach. She took a deep breath, closing her eyes for a moment. Memories flooded her mind, her mother toiling late into the night, running on coffee and dreams, the faint aroma of home-cooked meals mingling with the scent of burnt ends from a rushed dinner. Aaliyah could almost hear her mother's voice, filled with encouragement, whispering, "You are meant for greatness." That spirit of resilience ignited within her, a fire that refused to be extinguished. Suddenly, the glass walls felt like a transparent prison. She was alone in a sea of indifference, battling her fears of inadequacy. But in that instant, everything shifted. Aaliyah realized that this was her moment to flip the narrative. Instead of merely pitching a revival plan, she would champion a culture that celebrated diversity, making it the cornerstone of the company's revival. It was a revolutionary stance that could resonate with the employees who had, like her, been overlooked for too long. When the door finally swung open, she stood, heart racing, and faced the executives. Her voice rang out, steady and confident. "Today, we redefine success," she declared. "We will embed diversity into the fabric of our company. It's not just a good strategy, it's our survival." She saw a mix of eyebrows furrowed in skepticism, heads shaking almost imperceptibly. The room buzzed with whispers of doubt, but Aaliyah pressed on, feeling the weight of generations at her back. This wasn't just about her anymore, it was about every person who had ever been held back. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The tension in the room thickened as murmurs of disapproval rippled through the old guard. Aaliyah felt it in her chest, a tightness, a pressure. Doubts began to creep in, fanned by whispers from her own team, planting seeds of betrayal. "Are you sure you're ready for this? Do you really think they'll accept your ideas?" Each question was a stab, a reminder of the very biases she fought against. Suddenly, a familiar face appeared in the doorway. It was her mother's best friend and mentor, a woman who had seen the harsh realities of a world that often rejected Aaliyah's kind. As their eyes met, Aaliyah felt a rush of hope mixed with urgency. The words that could change everything teetered on the edge of her lips, waiting for their moment to burst forth. What revelation did this mentor hold, and would it be the key to unlocking Aaliyah's destiny? Aaliyah's breath caught in her throat as she locked eyes with Ms. Lee. The room faded into a blur, all that mattered was the unwavering support emanating from her childhood mentor. Ms. Lee had always encouraged Aaliyah to embrace her uniqueness, to stand tall against those who would dim her light. "Say it, Aaliyah," Ms. Lee urged, her voice soft but infused with strength. "Don't let them silence you." With newfound determination, Aaliyah turned back to the boardroom. She raised her chin, ignoring the skeptical glares, and closed the distance between her and the executives. The time for waiting had passed. "Diversity isn't just a box to check off," she continued, her voice echoing through the sterile space. "It's about blending diverse perspectives to create innovation. Look around. Our teams are our greatest assets. A hand shot up from one of the more seasoned executives, a man with a well-cultivated frown. What do you mean by innovation? We always played it safe. Why change now when we survived? Aaliyah felt the heat rise inside her. You survive, but at what cost? Our competitors are leaving us behind because they, unlike us, understand that real progress comes from embracing change. As she spoke, images flooded her mind. Friends who had been cast aside, ideas that were dismissed simply because they came from a different place, a different voice. She felt a surge of energy pour through her words. Ms. Lee nodded encouragingly, her resolute expression lending Aaliyah the strength she needed. Aaliyah glanced around the table, catching the eyes of her team, those hesitant faces that had once threatened her resolve. She could see the flicker of hope there, matching her own. Imagine a workforce where everyone feels valued, where our diverse backgrounds inspire groundbreaking ideas. This is a chance to be ahead of the curve, to redefine the future of this company. Around the boardroom, voices were softening, and Aaliyah sensed a crack forming in their once iron barriers. Hope, fragile yet powerful, wove through the air like an electric current. Let us champion this together, she said, locking eyes with each executive, one by one. Not for me, but for everyone in this company. For the story we can write together moving forward. Just then, the door creaked open wider and another face peeked inside. It was Jordan, her closest ally and the head of marketing, with eyes filled with urgency and something else, fear. Before she could wave him in, he raised a finger in a gesture that made Aaliyah's stomach drop. Can I just say something? He asked, hesitating on the threshold. Aaliyah turned fully to him, her heart racing. Was he about to reaffirm her? I get what Aaliyah is saying. But what if we fail? What if we lose everything trying to change? Fear dripped from his words, cutting through the room's tentative hope. Aaliyah's heart sank for a moment, the voice of doubt echoing in the air. What if we do nothing? She countered, her voice rising once more. What would that cost us? But would her confidence hold against the weight of uncertainty? As the entire room fell silent, she felt the heat in her core fading, replaced by an anxious chill. Would they stand with her, or would she have to fight alone once more? As tension simmered in the air, the pivotal moment hung like a ripe fruit, waiting to be plucked. Would they lean into the courage needed to embrace this new vision? Or would fear win the day, locking them in a past that stifled growth? The silence felt interminable, amplifying the stakes. Aaliyah could only pray that the next moment would bring clarity. What would happen if they decided to keep things the same? And more importantly, what revelation would break the silence, steering them towards a future where everyone could thrive? The silence stretched on, heavy and thick, as Aaliyah stood at the precipice of hope and fear. She could feel the weight of the moment, the energy of uncertainty wrapping around her like a cold blanket. The executives exchanged glances, and the room felt as though it was holding its breath. Jordan's expression shifted from fear to something warmer. I mean, we've tried initiatives before, you know? A few seminars, a diversity lunch here and there. But nothing ever really changed. His voice was laced with genuine concern, tinged with doubt. Those were just tokens, Jordan, Aaliyah replied, her eyes narrowing. They didn't bring us together. They didn't create real change. And if we don't start taking real steps now, we may as well pack up and leave. What's the point of a company that refuses to evolve? Ms. Lee stepped forward, her presence like a soothing balm against the tension. What Aaliyah proposes is not just necessary, it's integral to our survival. We can no longer ignore the talent and voices that surround us. Change can be daunting, but it can also be our greatest ally. Aaliyah felt a flicker of encouragement at Ms. Lee's words. She turned back to Jordan. What if we looked at failure as a stepping stone? What if we embraced the idea that every mistake, every misstep is a chance to grow? I believe in this team, and I believe in this new direction. Can we be brave together? Jordan shifted, uncertainty still etched on his features, but there was something in Aaliyah's eyes, the fire that made everything suddenly feel possible. The tension in the room began to morph into a sense of collective consideration. "Okay," Jordan began hesitantly, glancing at the other executives. "But I think the plan has to be solid. If we fail, it'll be a big hit for all of us. Then let us build that plan together." Aaliyah exclaimed, her heart pounding with excitement. "Let us ensure it's strong enough to withstand whatever might come. I can lead the effort, but I need you all beside me. This isn't just about me, this is about everyone who feels unheard. We can truly make a difference." Slowly, one executive began to nod. Then another. The room started to buzz with murmurs of possibility, as if a dam had broken. Aaliyah felt the hope swell within her, a sense of unity building like an anthem. What would this look like? One of the younger executives asked, her voice filled with curiosity. "Can we brainstorm right now?" "Yes. Yes, let us do that," Aaliyah urged, her face lighting up. The wheels were turning, and she could feel her heart race with anticipation. "Let us draw on the strengths of our diverse team. Let us bring in consultation from different groups. We can create workshops that highlight our unique backgrounds and how they can lead to innovation," Aaliyah suggested. "It should be led by all of us, not just a select few." As she spoke, tangible energy ignited the room. People started jotting down notes. Aaliyah caught sight of Ms. Lee, pride shining in her eyes. For the first time, it felt real. Aaliyah's vision transforming into a collaborative movement. The fear started to dissipate. But just when the energy peaked, an unexpected voice broke through. "What if we're too late?" It was another colleague, raising a critical point. "What if the market leaves us behind?" It's a risky bet. Aaliyah felt a chill run through her. Was the tide of progress truly unstoppable, or would they stumble at the first hurdle? She had some momentum, but could they keep the fire alive? So many questions hung in the air, and for all the brightness that had illuminated the moment, shadows of doubt loomed just as large. Where would they go from here? Would they have the courage to let go of the past and embrace a future of potential? Aaliyah knew she had started the conversation, but the real journey was only just beginning. Would they step into the unknown together? And what awaited them on the other side? The murmurs crawled to a halt, replaced by the weight of concern that settled heavily on everyone's shoulders. Aaliyah's heart thudded in her chest as she faced the growing uncertainty. It wasn't just one worried voice now. She could feel the room wrestling with doubt, and it sent a ripple of fear through her. "Maybe we are too late," Jordan echoed, his brow furrowing. "When we look at our competitors, they're ahead of us in every way. Adapting isn't just a good idea, it's survival." Aaliyah took a deep breath. "You're right." Her voice steadied as she pressed on. "But it isn't too late. Look at the talent we have, the stories waiting to be told. Every one of you has a unique experience. If we harness that, we can rewrite our narrative. Together." The tension lessened slightly, the room feeling just a bit warmer. Then Ms. Lee broke the silence. "Aaliyah is onto something. We need to see change as an opportunity and not a threat. What if we set up small wins? Small goals that can build trust in our vision?" The idea sparked a flicker of hope. People began nodding, caught up in the notion of incremental changes instead of a massive leap into unknown territory. "I like that. Start small," came another comment from the back, a timid voice that was slowly growing in confidence. "What if we launched a pilot program with just a few teams? Gather feedback, see what works. We can scale from there." "Yes." Aaliyah felt a surge of adrenaline. "We can create a safe space for discussion and experimentation. Ideas don't need to be fully developed to start transforming. It's the willingness to explore that will bring us together." The room erupted in discussions, voices talking over each other in a flurry of ideas, laughter, and the occasional hesitant suggestion. Aaliyah could hardly believe how much the initial doubt had turned into excitement. This was the spirit she wanted to ignite. As everyone began to outline potential projects, she caught sight of Jordan, who was scribbling furiously, a light kindling in his eyes. "I think we can even involve our clients. Get them in on the discussions, get their input. Let them know we're evolving." "That's brilliant," Aaliyah replied, her heart swelling. "Let us create a dynamic engagement that extends beyond our walls. It's not just about us, it's about our community." Just when it seemed like a breakthrough would sweep through, another voice chimed in, this time more assertively. "What happens if we clash? What if our diverse approaches lead to conflicts instead of collaboration?" The question settled in the air, and Aaliyah felt the wind shift. She knew that bending to fear would not do them any favors. Conflict is a natural part of collaboration. It can lead to deeper understanding and innovative solutions. We won't be afraid of disagreement, we'll embrace it. That's how we'll grow stronger. The crowd grew quiet as her words hung in the air. "Can we really do this?" someone whispered, voice thick with desire and doubt. Aaliyah scanned the room, searching for a thread of optimism. "Yes, we can. It starts right here, right now. Are you with me?" Everyone looked into each other's eyes, weighing the moment, considering the leap of faith. Then, slowly but surely, they began to nod. One by one, the expressions shifted from uncertainty to determination, igniting a potential they didn't want to pass up. However, just before the spark could grow into a roaring flame, Aaliyah's phone buzzed on the table. Her breath hitched as she glanced at the screen. A message from an investor rolled in, an urgent meeting request that could either validate or jeopardize their nascent plans. A mix of intrigue and dread washed over her. Would this unexpected twist be a lifeline or a stumbling block? The room buzzed with renewed energy, but would Aaliyah have the chance to rally everyone if the meeting derailed their progress? Her heart raced. What would they decide to do? Would they be ready to stand together when the stakes were raised? Aaliyah's fingers hovered over her phone as the screen glowed with urgency. She could feel the energy in the room shift, curiosity mingling with anxiety. She had ignited a fire of enthusiasm, but now, with a single message, that flame flickered uncertainly. "Do you guys feel that?" Aaliyah asked, trying to bring the focus back to the group. "We're on the brink of something incredible, but we need to act fast. This meeting could be our chance to show we're serious about change." Jordan looked up from his notes, his excitement dimming just a bit. "What if they don't see our potential? What if we can't convince them?" Aaliyah shook her head, grounding herself before the rush of doubt took over. "We will convince them. We have to believe in ourselves first. Every story we've shared today, every idea, it's all part of a bigger picture. They need to see our vision." Ms. Lee stepped forward, her face a canvas of determination. "We can prepare a compelling pitch. We've already outlined our ideas right here. Let us focus on how we present it. We can highlight the strengths of our team and how engaging clients will reshape our approach." "Right!" Aaliyah exclaimed, feeling the tide turn again. She moved about the room, locking eyes with her colleagues. "Let us break it down. Everyone has a role to play. You all have unique perspectives and skills. This is our moment to shine." The conversation sparked again with energy, everyone diving into their specific ideas with zeal. Laughter punctuated the air as they flowed with inspiration, darting from one concept to another. Voices turned into a chorus of trust and enthusiasm. Suddenly, Aaliyah was struck by a thought. "What if we practice a little? I can act as the investor. Let us see how well we can sell our vision. This isn't just for them, it's for us." A flurry of shuffling ensued as they rearranged themselves into a semicircle, eager for the spontaneous drill. Aaliyah took a deep breath, channeling her inner confidence. "All right, I'm in your shoes. I'm the investor. Show me what's worth believing in. Jordan stepped forward first, excitement lighting up his eyes. He began outlining the pilot program concept, his voice gaining momentum. As he spoke, Aaliyah noticed the spark of determination in his demeanor. Each word struck like a hammer on a nail, driving home the possibilities ahead. The group chimed in one after another, discussing how to engage clients, how to create a safe space for innovation, and how small wins would build their collective confidence. Ideas flowed freely as Aaliyah felt the buzz intensify, her heart swelling with pride. But even as they rehearsed, the shadow of the investor meeting loomed. A tiny voice in Aaliyah's mind whispered doubts. What if the enthusiasm didn't translate when they actually met? Then, a poignant moment emerged when one member of the team, Angela, who had been quieter until now, stood up and spoke. You know, I've been thinking. It's about more than the numbers and the pitch. We're doing this to create something meaningful. Our stories matter, our voices matter. If we believe that, others will too. Aaliyah's eyes shined with tears at Angela's words. In that moment it wasn't just about the presentation, it was about the heart behind their efforts. They weren't just a team, they were a family bound by a common purpose. Let us remember that, Aaliyah said, her voice calm but intense. Our authenticity will shine through when we walk in. We can't let this meeting intimidate us. We're changemakers, and it's time we step into that power. With renewed resolve, they all nodded, their eyes aflame with excitement. But as the clock ticked down towards their investor meeting, Aaliyah felt a familiar rush of fear. What if their stories weren't enough? What if they failed to connect? The pivotal moment for transformation loomed ever closer. Would they rise to the occasion, or would it all slip away before their eyes? The anticipation hung in the air like a thunderstorm waiting to break. As the group continued to buzz with ideas, Aaliyah felt a tightening in her chest. The energy was palpable, but her mind danced between hope and despair. Every laugh echoing in the room lifted her spirits, yet the shadow of the upcoming meeting crept back in with its clutch of fear. Okay, let's tighten things up, Aaliyah said, her voice steady despite the inner turmoil. We need to focus on three key elements: our mission, our impact, and our passion. Let us make it memorable. Jordan jumped in, his enthusiasm reigniting. Right. We have to paint a picture. Show them what we can achieve. Let us make it personal. He adjusted his glasses, eyes sparkling with inspiration. The energy shifted again, lifting Aaliyah as different ideas surged. They began crafting their narrative, each team member contributing. Ms. Lee emphasized the importance of relatable anecdotes, while Angela added more heartfelt stories from community members who had found hope through their work. I can share my first experience with the organization, Angela suggested, her voice growing stronger by the second. It changed my life, and it can change others. They need to hear that. Aaliyah's heart swelled as she listened to the group rallying together, intertwining their stories, aspirations, and hope. This wasn't just about impressing investors anymore, it was about honoring their journey and the impact they could make. Exactly, Angela. Aaliyah said, a smile breaking through. We're not just selling a program, we're sharing a vision. We've been through struggles, but we've grown stronger as a result. Then, the door creaked open and shattered the moment. The time was near. Aaliyah's stomach twisted, and she felt a flood of doubt rise up again. What if no one gets it? She whispered, just loud enough for Jordan to hear. He quickly glanced back at her. They don't have a choice but to get it. Look around. We've got the passion, the ideas. They feel it. As the clock ticked down, the group's laughter faded, leaving a heavy silence hanging between them. Aaliyah looked at each of her teammates, feeling the spark of shared hope ignite again. They were ready. No matter what happened, they had come together and done something remarkable. All right, let us do this. Aaliyah exclaimed, injecting her voice with palpable determination. Heads up, hearts open. With those words, they walked out into the hallway, their steps echoing across the empty space. Aaliyah leading the way like a torchbearer, igniting courage within each of them. She gripped the handle of the conference room door and took a deep breath. This was it, their moment. As they entered, the investors sat in a semicircle, expressions inscrutable. Aaliyah felt an instant rush. We're not just here to ask for funding. We're here because we believe every person deserves a chance and our vision can make that happen. So much hung in the balance. Aaliyah watched the investors' faces for any signs of encouragement, any flicker of interest. It felt like heights and depths fought for dominance in her heart. Would they be able to reach these intimidating figures? Suddenly, she noticed a few of the investors exchanging glances, whispering under their breath, eyebrows raised. What were they saying? Aaliyah wondered, her mind racing, anxiety pushing her voice to the back of her throat. Did that mean interest, confusion, or worse? A flicker of hope ignited, but fading yet again was the nagging question, what would happen if they didn't believe? The weight of the moment hung heavily, but Aaliyah felt the impossible tug within her. If each heartbeat was a step forward, they were closer. Would this moment truly change everything, or shatter their dreams? Aaliyah looked at her team, their faces full of determination. Now was the moment. What if, she thought, as they delved into their pitch, what if this was just the beginning? Aaliyah took a deep breath, her heart racing. She began their pitch with the words that had echoed in her mind throughout the preparation. We're here today because we believe in the power of community. We've seen lives changed, and we're ready to showcase just how impactful this work can be. As she glanced around the room, the tension was thick. The investors leaned forward slightly, their eyes narrowing, seemingly absorbing every word. Aaliyah exchanged a quick glance with Angela, who nodded encouragingly. The stakes were high, but together, they were stronger. Jordan stood next, his palms slightly sweaty but his resolve clear. I want to share a story that captures the heart of what we do, he said. Last month, we helped a young girl named Mia. She faced so many challenges, schools neglecting her, family issues, but when she came to us, we didn't just see her as a statistic. The room was still, hanging on his every word. We saw her spirit. We got her into a program where mentors supported her, and she blossomed. She went from barely passing to being on the honor roll. She told us she finally felt seen. Aaliyah's breath hitched. The investors exchanged glances again, and their faces shifted slightly. Was that curiosity? Concern? A glimmer of understanding? Angela stepped in, her voice soft yet powerful. And Mia is not alone. Our programs have touched countless lives, but we need you to help us reach even further. With your support, we could double our capacity this year. Imagine the ripple effect, Aaliyah added, feeling momentum surge within her. Every dollar invested is a chance for someone to transform, for another success story just waiting to happen. We are not handing out lifelines, we are building bridges. The murmurs among the investors became more pronounced, a mix of intrigue and deliberation. Aaliyah dared to hope. They had crafted a narrative that spoke to the heart, but would it compel these decision-makers toward action? Ms. Lee chimed in, seamlessly transitioning to the data backing their projects. We have a documented 75% success rate in changing the lives of participants in our programs. Investments like these aren't just philanthropy, they're smart moves that pay off socially and economically. Together, we can create a model that others will want to replicate. Aaliyah's heart beat faster, almost drowning out the sound of her own thoughts. It was so close, they could almost taste the change on the other side of that table. But doubt snuck in again like an unwelcome shadow. What if they had done all this and it still wasn't enough? Suddenly, one of the investors raised a hand, silencing the discussions. A clear voice pierced through the tension. You've made a compelling case. But tell me honestly, what do you believe would happen if this doesn't go the way you hope? The question hung in the air, and Aaliyah's stomach dropped. She could feel the intensity of the moment, the need to be transparent. Well, we continue to fight. But without the resources, progress would stagnate. The stories like Mia's, they fade. We refuse to let that happen. The room was quiet again, but the energy had shifted. Aaliyah could sense the weight of their words settling somewhere deeper, emotionally wrapped around the figures with power to change everything. As she searched the investors' faces for any response, what she found gave her a jolt. A mix of contemplation and concern indicated that they were still deciding on something monumental. Then, just as one of the investors opened his mouth to speak, the conference room door swung open unexpectedly. A striking figure stepped in, confidence radiating from her. Aaliyah squinted, recognizing the new arrival. It was someone powerful in the community. What could this abrupt entrance mean for their pitch? Would she bring clarity or confusion to an already charged atmosphere? Aaliyah's breath caught in her throat. This could change everything. Aaliyah's heart raced as the newcomer strode in, her presence dominating the room. The woman's sharp suit and assertive stride commanded attention. Aaliyah recognized her instantly. Jasmine Cole, the celebrated CEO of a leading tech firm and a prominent figure in local initiatives to uplift communities. Her reputation for intentional change preceded her, and the mere sight of her sent a wave of hope through Aaliyah's core. As Jasmine moved to the front of the room, the investors' reactions shifted dramatically. They leaned back slightly, eyes widening, their expressions transforming from skepticism to anticipation. Even the murmurs in the room quieted down. Jasmine was known for being a powerful advocate for social programs, but she was also known for her candidness. What would she say? "Forgive the interruption," Jasmine began, her voice calm yet commanding. "I couldn't miss the chance to hear about this initiative. I've been following your work closely. Mia's story resonated with me. It's important we invest in our future, in our children." Aaliyah exchanged a hopeful glance with Angela, who wore a look of cautious optimism. Aaliyah knew that Jasmine could sway the room in their favor. The atmosphere crackled with potential. However, Jasmine continued, pausing to gather her thoughts, "I need to understand the real impact. Numbers only tell part of the story. What's the vision? What truly drives you?" Jordan stepped forward, encouraged by Jasmine's unexpected endorsement. "We envision a world where every child feels empowered to chase their dreams, regardless of their backgrounds. Our program does not just teach, it inspires. We nurture the next generation of leaders," he said with confidence. The room began buzzing with renewed energy as investors shifted in their seats, intrigued. Aaliyah felt the weight lifting as Jasmine nodded approvingly, visibly engaged. This was a turning point, one they had wished for. "Excellent. I believe in hands-on involvement," Jasmine continued, glancing at the investors. "If I join this mission, I'll want to be active, to help lead workshops, mentor these kids directly. Everybody, including the investors here, has a role to play. Are you ready to show up?" Aaliyah's pulse quickened. Just being associated with Jasmine could elevate their project's visibility tremendously. Slowly, the investors seemed to warm to the vision of collaboration that Jasmine was painting. They began whispering to one another, excitement flickering in their eyes. "Aaliyah," Jasmine said, turning to her, "I admire your conviction. But let us not forget, every change comes with challenges. How will you maintain accountability? How will you measure success beyond numbers, especially when hearts are at stake?" That question hung in the air like a weighty thread. Aaliyah took a deep breath. "We'll engage in continuous feedback with the community. Holding ourselves accountable starts from the inside. We'll share our successes and failures transparently, ensuring everyone involved feels like they're a part of this journey. No one is left behind." "Exactly the kind of leadership we need," Jasmine replied, her eyes sparkling with approval. The investors were nodding now, their expressions softening. If we're committing, it needs to be full throttle, Jasmine stated, empowered. I need a guarantee that this vision will propel forward without losing steam. Promise me you'll prioritize impact over profit, and I'll champion this cause within my circles. Aaliyah felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes. This was what they had hoped for. This was their chance. But just as air was filling with optimism, Aaliyah's gaze drifted one last time to the investors. One of them still seemed unsure, eyebrows furrowed as he thought deeply. What would he need to feel convinced? Suddenly, a realization washed over Aaliyah. They weren't just pitching a project, they were advocating for each child that needed it. If they could find a way to connect that emotion to the investors, they could truly mobilize change. Jasmine, she started, her voice steady, what if we asked the investors to meet Mia? To hear her story firsthand? To understand the weight of what it means not to be seen? As she spoke, the room buzzed with energy. New ideas began to swirl, peppered with the promise of partnership and purpose. Would this bold move convince the last uncertain investor? Would Mia's voice be the catalyst for change they were all hoping for? Aaliyah's heart raced at the thought this might just be the breakthrough they all needed. The room fell into a brief silence, the weight of Aaliyah's proposal hanging in the air. Aaliyah glanced around, taking in the faces of the investors, their expressions now mixed with curiosity and a hint of uncertainty. Jasmine's nod indicated her approval, but the real test was yet to come. Meeting Mia? Jasmine mused, her tone contemplative. I think that could be powerful. Stories have the ability to draw people in and stir emotions that data simply can't. Aaliyah felt a surge of hope, but it was quickly tempered by a flicker of doubt. Would they really agree? Would her voice, her story, be enough to bridge the gap between the investors' skepticism and the real change she envisioned? Jordan stepped in, enthusiasm bubbling in his voice. We need this. Mia's journey is a testament to the very problem we're addressing. If we're asking these investors to invest in more than just numbers, we must show them the face of our mission. We must humanize the data. The murmurs of agreement spread through the room, fueled by each word. Even the cautious investors started to lean in, intrigued by the prospect of meeting Mia, the girl whose story could ignite their willingness to invest. Aaliyah's heart swelled. They were gaining momentum, and she wanted to keep it rolling. What if we organized a visit to the community center? Let the investors see the kids in action, let them experience the environment we're fighting to change? Absolutely. Jasmine exclaimed, her excitement palpable. This isn't just about getting funds, it's about building long-lasting relationships, fostering trust. I can help facilitate this connection. I know people who can amplify Mia's story. Could we really make it happen? Aaliyah asked, feeling the pulse of the room, the energy wrapping around them like a warm blanket. Jasmine smiled, her confidence contagious. Let us talk logistics. I want the investors to be involved in every stage beyond just monetary contributions. We need to show them the power of giving back, the heartbreak of what happens when we don't. Aaliyah smiled back, feeling the relief sweep over her, if only for a moment. It was a small victory, but victories were what they needed to keep pushing. Yet, a familiar dread whispered in the back of her mind. What if the investors left the meeting still unconvinced? What if Mia's presence didn't hit them the way it needed to? As hope flooded through her veins, she couldn't shake that nagging worry. Time sped up around them as ideas bounced back and forth. They envisioned a day packed with activities, interactive sessions, one-on-one discussions with Mia, and glimpses into the work that had been done. Every thought ignited more energy, and it felt like a dam had burst, unleashing a river of possibilities. Then, as they were deep in planning, the previously hesitant investor raised his hand. A hush fell over the crowd, and all eyes turned towards him. I like the direction we're going, but I need more than just a feel-good story. What quantifiable results are you hoping for from this venture? Aaliyah felt her heart drop. She quickly exchanged glances with Jordan and Angela, who seemed lost for words. Was there a way to quantify the emotional impact? Or was this too abstract a concept for someone who only saw numbers? Anxiety flooded her mind. Jasmine sensed the shift and stepped forward, ready to bridge the gap. This isn't about reducing human experiences to mere statistics, she asserted, her voice firm yet inviting. We will measure success in transformation both in numbers and in hearts. Aaliyah felt a flicker of hope again as she noticed a shift in the investor's expression. Could real connection persuade him? She took a deep breath, her determination bubbling to the surface. Let us share what a win looks like, she said, her voice steady. A win is not just the amount raised, but the change in perspective, the shifts in the community, the kids whose lives we touch. We're building a movement, not just a program. The investor leaned back in his chair, thoughtful. A swirl of feelings washed over Aaliyah. 1. Conversation, one child at a time, they would build undeniable proof of their impact. Yet beneath the thrill of progress, the uncertainty lingered. Would their words be enough? And could Mia's story be the spark they needed? As Jasmine reviewed their next steps, Aaliyah's heart raced again, tinged with impatience and anticipation. Why was it always about proving their worth? For every child who struggled, every roadblock faced, there had to be a time when they were simply seen for the potential they held. Aaliyah clenched her fists, steeling herself for the challenges ahead. They were on the right path, but the journey to connect hearts and minds was only beginning. What if Mia's voice could unlock the final key to the investor's commitment? Would she be ready to step into the spotlight when it mattered most? The questions loomed larger with every passing breath, and though the excitement was palpable, so was the urgency of the moment. Could hope turn into tangible action before it was too late? The day had arrived. Mia stood nervously in front of Aaliyah and her team, her bright eyes wide with uncertainty. It was not merely a visit, it was a chance to change everything. Today, they would bring the investors to her world. Aaliyah took a deep breath, trying to calm the fluttering in her stomach. Mia, just be yourself, Aaliyah encouraged, kneeling beside her, squeezing her hand gently. You've got this. Just share your story. The warmth of Aaliyah's words tied a comforting knot in Mia's gut. But the weight of so many expectations pressed down on them, the investors' skepticism still poking at their hope. As they entered the community center, Aaliyah and her team's energy buzzed with anticipation. The room was abuzz with children's laughter and the sound of art supplies clinking together. Each wall bore colorful murals that depicted dreams, futures, and most importantly community. Look at her face, Aaliyah thought, watching Mia absorb the environment around her. This space was built on dreams of connection, but could they translate that passion into impact for the investors? The team gathered everyone, and Aaliyah welcomed the investors with a smile, her voice steady. Thank you all for being here. Today, you'll see the heartbeat of our mission, the kids. Our future leaders. Mia peeked from behind Aaliyah, the shy smile growing on her face as she caught glimpses of her peers. Aaliyah could feel the tension graze her lightly like a whisper of promise in the air and knew today was more than just a measurement of success. It was a unifying moment. Jordan stepped forward, leading the first demonstration. We have some planned activities that showcase how we apply our unique approach. Aaliyah could see him channeling all the energy they'd built throughout this whole process. This was their moment. Kids sprang into action, showcasing their talents, from art displays to group discussions about the impact of mentorship. Laughter bubbled up, catching the investors' attention, igniting a flicker of curiosity. Then came the time for Mia to speak. Aaliyah's heart raced. This was it. Mia, Aaliyah whispered, urging her forward. With trembling knees, Mia stepped into the circle and began with a quivering voice, "Hi, I'm Mia, and I just want to thank you for believing in us." She spoke about her struggles, how she found herself lost until the program became a guiding light. Eyes in the room softened, and Aaliyah could see the investors shifting in their seats, genuine intrigue taking root. "I can't forget when I first came here," Mia continued. "I was scared and alone, but here, I learned to speak up. And when I got good grades, it felt like I could touch the stars." Just as the vulnerability of her words echoed through the room, something shifted. There was quiet, deep in the audience, and acknowledgement. Aaliyah felt her eyes water as Mia shared her heart, pouring her dreams onto the same canvases they had all created together. This was their essence, their collective spirit wrapped in one small voice. "Imagine every child like Mia," Aaliyah spoke up, her heart swelling inside her chest. "Imagine the heights they could reach if only they were given the opportunity." The investors were listening now. The earlier walls of doubt began to crumble as Mia finished with a radiant smile, her innocence shining through. Aaliyah saw the glimmer in the investors' eyes. Was that hope? Was that connection she felt in the air? "Thank you for sharing, Mia," an older investor said finally, clearing his throat. The room felt charged with an electricity that resonated in a shared mission. "It's these stories that carry the weight of our decisions. They matter." Jasmine stepped forward, her commanding presence wrapping around them all like a cloak of reassurance. "We invest in lives and legacies. Our returns will be far beyond profit. This is about community upliftment." Aaliyah met Jasmine's gaze, feeling sure of what this could become. The investors began leaning in, exchanging knowing glances, and Aaliyah felt the pulse of the moment solidifying. It felt like everything was coming full circle. As they transitioned into discussions about future partnerships, Aaliyah could barely contain her elation. Ideas flowed, possibilities unfurled, and for the first time, they felt unified in purpose. "Yes!" she exclaimed, adrenaline surging through her. "Let us establish a framework for feedback, a plan that includes each child's voice." One by one, investors started voicing their commitments. The dawning realization that they were building something transformational, the promise of an entire community reinvigorating with new life, where stories like Mia's would be the foundational pillars, lit up the room. Aaliyah could hardly believe it. After the long journey, they were beginning to make an impact. Days turned into weeks as they pushed forward with plans. Each meeting came alive with passion. Every brainstorm became a path to potential. Mia and her friends hopped around in excitement, envisioning dreams painted beyond their reach, and Aaliyah knew they would see those dreams fulfilled. As Aaliyah's vision unfolded, the raw commitment from her team and investors only grew more profound. They were designing communities where change thrived in every corner, protecting the vulnerable, amplifying voices that once echoed in silence. "This is just the beginning," Aaliyah said at one of their first Impact Summits. "Let us ensure that every voice resonates." And they did. Together, they transformed a simple company into a beacon of hope. Every successful moment was celebrated not just as a statistic, but as a story. Every child who walked through their doors was now seen, felt, and propelled toward their own unique potentials. In this incredible journey, they learned that change wouldn't be measured only in numbers. It would be defined by the hearts they reached, the lives they inspired, and the communities they built, ensuring that every child's voice echoed into eternity. As Aaliyah looked around, she felt a warm glow. This was not just her victory, but a culmination of countless dreams entwined in shared commitment. And together, they would rise and they would thrive. This was their moment. Now, if you want to stay inspired and witness more incredible transformations, you need to subscribe now. Don't wait not even one more second. Hit that bell so you don't miss out on the next exclusive stories that will fill your heart with hope. Leave a like right now to feed that algorithm. Your support truly matters, and we appreciate every single click. And please, comment below. We want to hear your reactions and feelings about this ending. Did it inspire you? Did it touch your heart? Lastly, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. It's time to spread this message. We're all in this together. Let us uplift the conversation.